Hi everyone, I am here to give you the 8 things that you need to know about financial aid for college. Hi everyone, and I hope you're having a great week. Happy October to you. I can't believe it's already October. Time is flying so quickly. And you know what that means? That means right now is all about financial aid. You know, kids are going back to college or are already back in college. But for those of you who are looking to get your kids into school the following year, it is now definitely time for open enrollment. For those of you applying for financial aid, we're going to talk about 8 things that you definitely want to know for financial aid, all right? To get everybody into college, right? We want to make sure that you have money to be able to do so. I remember actually many years ago when I went into college, this was actually a pretty stressful thing to be able to find financing for school. I myself needed to take out financial aid and needed grants from California and everywhere else. So I know many of you are right now in the trenches trying to get your kids or yourself into college without coming out with a whole bunch of debt. Now here are some steps that I think will be really helpful for you. First of all, like I always say, when you're planning for any large financial expense, it's a good idea to know how much you need to save for. So I suggest, if those of you who are looking at college, to figure out approximately how much these colleges cost. You know, we always talk about college expenses, but really until you go down to nitty-gritty and actually do a little bit of digging, you can find out exactly, well, not exactly, but very close to how much you truly need. So just because you think one private school is going to cost substantially more than another public school, that may or may not be the true cost to you at the end of the day, depending on how much funding you get from the college, from the state, from federal support and whatnot, all right? So you want to go to a website called College Scorecard, and this will actually give you an idea of how much college costs will cost. Now I'm going to include all the links to all the names of these websites I'm going to discuss in this video, so don't worry, just go ahead and watch to the end and we'll have all those links handy for you. Now, the first thing you want to remember is no matter what, I don't care if you think you won't qualify for financial aid, you should apply for financial aid, and you want to do so right away. Actually, the open enrollment for this started on October 1st, so you can already do so right now. So if you haven't done so, you should do so right now. Jump on and do it. It's the federal aid, actually financial aid, is called the Free Application for Federal Student Aid, or a lot of people call it FAFSA, which is FAFSA. So these applications, actually, we know that in the past, there was actually $2.3 billion in financial aid on the table because students and their parents didn't apply for this financial aid. So even though you think that you might not qualify, or you think that you've already qualified, it makes sense to re-look at the situation on hand. See if you've actually done the process completely. Have you done the application? And even if you think you will not qualify, you should consider applying as well. It doesn't hurt. It will take some time, but that's about it. In order to do this, your FAFSA must be completed in order to get not only federal grants, but also federal student loans, work study, and in some cases, state and university grants. So it's not just financial aid that this application is important for. So you really want to make sure that you do this. Now you're going to need, first off, when you start, a FSA ID. This is a username and password that you'll need to use to be able to log into the website. The good thing is each child, both you and your child, are going to need one of these IDs. So it's not just one of you. Now when you go into the system, you're going to want to go into this website called studentaid.edu.gov. And once you have your username and password, you can actually go into the site the very same day. This is the first time that you're applying. Now here are some things, here's my checklist of things that you'll want to have on you before you get into that website. Number 1, of course, you're going to want your social security number. You're going to want your federal tax return. You can actually now use the IRS retrieval tool on the site, which is really handy. So you can actually have them directly input that information from the IRS website, which makes it complete and accurate as well. You also want your bank statements and records of investments. You also want records of untaxed income if this is applicable. And like we mentioned before, you want your FSA ID. So that's going to be helpful to you because you're going to sign electronically when you do this form. Now, things to remember. Since the FAFSA application is technically your child's application, so when it says you or your on the application, that actually means your child's information, not you. Now you, if you're the parent watching in this case, if you're the parent, anytime it says parent, well, that's you. Now, if you're the child watching, anytime it says you, that is you as well. Many states actually have limited financial aid, so it's really important that you file as soon as possible, because once you go in, you'll be in queue. So the sooner you get in line for that financial aid that's given to that particular school, the better. So you don't want to be late in doing this process. If you're serious about getting into a college and you're serious about wanting to get some help with funding, you want to do the application as soon as possible. Now, the other thing that you want to pay attention to is when you go through this process, the system is also going to ask you to list all the schools that you're interested in applying for or you think you might apply for. Now, this is really important because like I told you earlier, you want to go ahead and get in line as soon as possible in order to be able to qualify or to be able to receive financial aid should you qualify for financial aid. If there are colleges that you think you're definitely going to apply to or even that are maybe on your list, you should list all of these schools on there, okay? This just gets you in queue so that when they do have aid, and if you do apply and if you do get in, then you're actually in queue to receive some of this aid. So very, very important. So now where do you go to do this? Now you can go to the system now also on fafsa.gov. There's going to be a whole bunch of information there, and you can even download the paper applications from there too if you want. But you know, you can certainly save you a lot of time by downloading your IRS data right through that website, and it does help you with meeting early deadlines as well. A lot of you are thinking, and this is a big point I want to share with you, a lot of you think, well, maybe my husband and I or my wife and I or myself, we make too much money for my child to qualify for financial aid. Or you might be a student thinking my parents probably make too much so I don't qualify, so I shouldn't even apply. Now this can't be further from the truth. You absolutely should apply. Super important that you do apply. And the reason that is because in addition to financial-based financial aid, there's also merit-based that doesn't necessarily worry too much about how much you make, but it's merit-based financial aid, which is the same application. So that's something to think about. That's something you really want to do. Another thing you want to do is make sure that you don't make any mistakes on these applications. When you make mistakes on your application, number one, it could cause you to receive less aid than you perhaps should be due. In addition, and sometimes when applications are incorrectly done, they actually make it so the student doesn't even get any aid at all. So very important that while you go through this process, you take your time, you check your answers, you make sure the information is correct before you go ahead and submit the data. The other thing I want you to know is about a few days after your application, you're also going to get another form that's going to be emailed to you, and that is called the SAR, or the Student Aid Report. Now this is important that you pay attention to this email. It usually comes within 3 days of your application, but you want to go through it and make sure all the information is accurate, especially the income information, because this is the information that can be used to decide whether or not you qualify for financial aid. So make sure to look for that email, check your spam filter that it doesn't go right. And actually what I recommend you do is as soon as you file your financial aid application online, put it into your calendar 2 days after and say you should be receiving this email, check your email box, just as a personal reminder. You don't want to have any of this fall through the cracks. And then after that, now all that's done, there's still more to do. You might say, wow, after that, I'm gonna need a break. Now the good news is the entire application process should take you just around 20 minutes. But once you're done with this is just the beginning of your busy, right? Welcome to college. The next thing you want to do is start applying for and looking at different scholarships. Now, I'm going to put a link in the end of the video about where you can go to for these scholarships. The U.S. Department of Labor actually has a free scholarship tool. So that's a great place to start. You want to find these different scholarship opportunities. A lot of these have very early deadlines, so it does definitely pay to start early and doing some research and submitting for different scholarships that you think you might qualify for. At the end of the day, the more money in your pocket means less money that you're spending for college. And with this, I hope hope this is very helpful for you and you found a way to really make an impact in your own education costs. Of course, there's always questions when it comes to college planning about things like 529s and college savings plans and things like that. And that's a whole nother video. But if you have any questions on that, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to do a call with you or talk with you about that in much more detail. But with that, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this was valuable. If it was, please share this with a friend and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn that bell on, and let me know what other information you love to hear from us. I'm always happy to work on other new topics, anything to help you and your wallet. Otherwise, have a wonderful day and I'll talk to you next time. Take care.